Thanks. It's great to be here this morning, and thought I'd spend some time talking about how we think about the content side of the business as well. It's an unbelievable time to be in content and media right now, but as I don't really have to tell anyone in this room, the rules are changing dramatically, have changed dramatically, and I think it's what makes it so interesting and invigorating to really keep up with that. If you think about the last 10 years in content, on-demand control of what we watch, mobile access, things like social media and social distribution, and I think ultimately this idea that modern technologies like HTML5 and modern JavaScript have just fundamentally changed consumer expectation for digital content, leave us in a place where we at Say think that it's a huge opportunity to start rethinking what the media landscape could look like. So I just wanted to share with you a few things that we're doing and how we're thinking about the evolving content landscape. That starts for us really thinking internally about a cultural intersection within the company. We think that there's a new leg in the stool that's really important to bring into the conversation. So it's about a content culture, a publishing culture, and a technology culture all being brought together inside of the company, inside of the way that we think about how we create value. What that looks like is editors sitting down with engineers, salespeople, bringing ideas back to editors and really collaborating and brainstorming. It means bringing insight back from the reader and from advertisers in marketing conversations that are shared within the company so that that idea might be a content idea, it might be a technology capability that we can create, but really fostering an environment where you create value at the intersection of these three cultures we think is critical to what media companies look like in the future. The next really foundational element for us is something that we call point of view publishing. It's a really simple concept, but we think it's critical to creating great content in today's landscape. We're absolutely inundated with information, with content, with things that are chasing our attention. And I think at the end of the day, if you don't say something that people react to, love it or hate it, you won't get their attention. And you won't actually break through in a way that will get people to spend time with your brand. So for us, what that means is that all of our publications start from a place of having strong point of view around a category that they love and care about. And they build passionate tribes of fans. They build real community around the readers of those brands, because those are people who are flocking to that content and kind of believe in or reflect that point of view. A great example of that is one of our publications, xoJane, a women's lifestyle publication that's an unbelievable community of women having real and sometimes irreverent conversations. Just to give you a few of those examples. So I've been single for 7 years and I can't figure out why. Nearly 600 comments on this article. What women's media needs to know about Hasidic women was an unbelievable post that really hit a nerve in that community, and over 1,200 comments for that article. Elevator shaming and albinism, why pro stairs health campaigns kind of suck. Again, another strong point of view around the issues of weight. And what this means is an unbelievable level of engagement with this property. So there's over 115 comments per post on average across every article that's posted. From a social perspective, more than 1,100 social actions that are taken on every single article that's posted. And every visitor that's coming to our site is spending on average a little over 6 minutes of time. This is the type of property where social distribution is the new newsstand. So over 40% of traffic is coming from people talking about these articles, that point of view translating into community and social interaction that's actually leading to people discovering content through social channels. Search is being replaced by social in true content, true lifestyle content like these brands. This isn't just about kind of irreverent women's lifestyle content either. It's this is Remodelista. This is a beautiful home property that we have. Here the point of view is a very clear aesthetic preference and point of view that comes through and readers love, and they know that they can come back and every day as part of their daily habit they'll get another dose of of Julie Carlson and her team's perspective on home style. So, we think in every category, whether it's fashion and beauty, home and food, technology, men's lifestyle, this idea of point of view is a tremendously important one. The next piece of this that we think is fundamental to modern media is this idea of shared services. So the way that we operate these content brands is small teams of editors that sit on top of a common technology platform and shared services platform. So none of these sites are actually running their own P&L. They're not their own independent businesses. We're able to actually take best practices and resources from a core platform that's shared across every one of our sites and provide value into each one of our sites. And in doing that, both get learnings across categories and bring best practices to market, and also make the investment that's needed for each one of these properties much, much more efficient. So it's a portfolio strategy where we can really kind of go to where the heat is, provide resources that are best suited for where that brand is at in its evolution. And ultimately, in doing that, the investment in launching a content brand is incredibly efficient. Often orders of magnitude lower than what you'd see in traditional media. What that means is that xoJane is a property we launched 2 months ago. It was a beauty extension of the xoJane brand. Unbelievable marketing event that we launched in New York City that the team didn't have to worry about because the marketing and communications group was able to pull that off for them. So again, just focused on content and community, and they were able to tap into the marketing resources of the company to pull this off. Another example is on the design front. This is an exclusive partner of ours that we were able to evolve the look and feel of that property, and I'll show you where this is going over time. But design is another thing that having best practices and ways to really engage at a common point inside of the company we think is really important. This is all done on the back of something that we think about as kind of the modern printing press. So we call it Tempest. It is vertically integrating all of the pieces of the media stack in one technology platform. So everything from data and analytics and insight to the way that we distribute that in a highly available way, to the way that our editors create content, to the way that that renders natively on every device. Those are all elements that we think need to be holistically thought about in order to create an experience that is ultimately premium and is ultimately kind of reflective of what users are demanding in content today. Some examples of where we're going with that. So Read Write, one of our brands, when we relaunched it on the platform, we saw an immediate uptick in mobile consumption. Today, that's 34% across our entire platform. We are seeing that grow at about 5% a quarter. I think every media business in the world has to be preparing for a multi-platform content consumption environment. We think that more than half of consumption will happen on a mobile platform inside of 12 months. So thinking about ways that we create content efficiently, ways that we create premium advertising experiences effectively across every one of these platforms is core. We're also thinking a lot about premium layout. So layouts that are content first, really kind of pull back from the Chrome, focus more on the article in the same way that we've seen magazines beautifully laid out for decades, but can be done by the editors themselves so that it doesn't require large production capability or heavy investment to do better layout, more kind of pull quotes and captioning and that kind of thing, the kinds of things that will make these articles feel more engaging, more premium, and ultimately we see people spending more time with them. And we're also thinking a lot about the way that community and social plays into content like this. So it's not uncommon to see 1,000 articles on a site like Jane's that we talked about. So starting to play with ways to break that up and do annotation that starts to address more of a kind of hot spotting approach. Lifestyle content is content that has long shelf life. People come back days and weeks after an article is written because it's kind of hit a nerve. It's not something that's topical and timely. And so breaking up the community's interaction in an article so that it's still accessible 5 days later, we think is incredibly important. And then offline consumption, so pushing to devices like, or channels like Newsstand, where editors can package up 10 articles into an issue, push that out in a way that manages a subscription relationship or is something that we're seeing tremendous demand from our readers for. Again, this is something that today requires a lot of production resource. We think through better platform technologies, we can push more of this power to the editors and the content creators, and that they can do a better job of really engaging with and curating for their communities directly. And then, obviously, content to commerce is something that's a big theme. This is an area I just thought I'd put this in here as we think about it. Today, we try to shorten the distance from inspiration to purchase. This is an area that I think the entire content industry needs to really work a lot harder on and think a lot more about. Largely, affiliate relationships are where the industry's at today. And there's just so much more to do to think about the kind of inspiration that content brands are driving and the ways that we can connect that to people's purchase habits and preferences. The last piece of the platform for us that we think is tremendously important is the feedback loop. So this is about two-way communication. It's about publishing in a way that is responsive and reflective of the community that you're managing. And so giving the editors an understanding of where people are spending time, what articles weren't read that much, but a tremendous amount of time was spent with them when they were actually read, what articles had tons of activity from a traffic perspective, but people just didn't spend a lot of time with the article. So obviously, you've hit on a theme, but you might want to think about writing it in a different way or adding content to that actually drives more engagement and interaction. These are the kind of things that are helping our editors in real time better understand how their readers are reacting. And we think we're watching them become better writers, build better brands, build a more connected community because of this feedback. You can see here we also actually make that part of the way that they're compensated, so that they're very focused on, am I driving more time with my brand? This isn't about page views and clicks. This is about total engaged time. It's about the way that people actually are investing in and giving attention to the content brands that we're developing. So, and just finally here, the comments are the article is a quote that Jane uses with her team all the time, and I think is an incredibly important thing to remember. Those 350 words are just a jumping off point. The way that you truly create this kind of two-way publishing model is by enriching that content with depth through community engagement, commenting, social activity, people responding with Pinterest or Instagram posts, or adding to their Facebook feed. So just thinking about the articles that are written as an inspiration point is, and just the beginning of that conversation is really, I think, where this is all going. And articles and publishing becomes a living document or a kind of evolutionary process rather than something that is just written once and we move on from. So hopefully that gives you a sense of some of the things that we're thinking about. We think that there is a new kind of media company that comes from this changing consumer behavior. Those are some of the things that we think are going to be involved in what that looks like. But ultimately, incredibly excited about where all this is going, and hope that you guys share some ideas or some reactions to what we're looking at. Thank you for your time.